best part is
Good
that we don't even
evening
need
and
to,
welcome to
mute
the
ourselves.
Society live stream on Twitch. This is our first Meet the Cast episode, and I am very excited to spend some time with you, our audience, and 3 of our cast members. We're taking a little hiatus from our story that we started last week while Sarah goes gallivanting around Europe on holidays. So you're going to have to just be stuck with myself and 3 of our lovely cast members. Please feel free to ask lots of questions in the chat. This is your opportunity to get out those burning questions that you want to ask, whether it be me as the GM or to our players. We are more than happy to talk about our characters, about Vaesen RPG, about the society, and to just provide you the opportunity to get to know us. So, without further ado, let us cut straight into our intro. Hello, and we are back. I hope you enjoyed the intro. Those of you who are eagle-eyed would have spotted a little difference from last week's intro, as we have another member of our cast with us this evening. We're going to do a little whip round the screen and introduce everyone. I've actually got Mike at the top, so if you want to go first, so we'll do Mike, then Jack, and then we'll save the best till last.
Not a problem. So my name is Michael. I play Maximilian Fjellbark in the Society, and I am the paranormal investigator.
I'm Jack. I'm playing Lieutenant Colonel Bartholomew Seaton. Yeah.
I am Matt. I am probably why it says mature content in the disclaimer at the beginning. And I play Quentin Ludensberg, the private detective. Eventually.
Eventually. Yeah, when when you can schedule yourself in to come and be ridiculous with us. And
I know, right?
I mean, I don't
Social
think the
life,
mature
what is this?
warning is just for you. I mean, maybe. Possibly.
I can certainly try.
I don't know. I was polishing my rifle last session, so
You were polishing it good and
Absolutely.
proper. You did strip, but
stripped it down, polished the rifle, rolled it up. It's all good.
I am, now that we've started down this little rabbit hole, I'm wondering how far we're going to go with these polishing rifle jokes. I feel like I'm now going to try and do one every session, and then after a little while we can cut them all together into a best clips montage of all the polishing rifle jokes. I feel like this is a thing. This is now my next project, I feel.
I think it would start stopping where I actually have a rifle in my hands and I'm actually polishing it on stream.
I mean, that is like the pièce de résistance right there. Right there. Although that might get us a few little warnings appear on our Twitch. We might get moderated somewhat.
That's a fair point.
I'm by Daddy Twitch.
Oh dear. And yeah, I've also spotted that there's already a comment about Lieutenant Colonel, Colonel, Lieutenant. I'm just going to struggle with it, so I'm sticking with Colonel because why not? The Colonel, and it sounds pretty cool. It sounds almost like a superhero name. You can just be the Colonel from now on, and I will save my embarrassment at struggling with all these military terminology.
Just do it to every character. Just drop the name. We'll all have a superhero name.
I mean, well, you never know where this is going to go.
Yo.
Right, so today's session, as I said when we started, we are giving you the opportunity to meet the cast. So if you've got any questions, please bung them in chat. For the first time, and rather strangely, I can see chat, which I normally can't do when I'm doing GM because I have way too many things open trying to have DM's notes, GM screen, player screen, OBS, and all the other things. So I can see. So I'm going to be saying hi to you all. Please post those questions and we'll be happy to ask them. We have already got a number of questions lined up for our cast and for me as the GM. And we're going to kind of just cycle through them, asking the questions, having a little chat. And yes, I can see you, Captain Shahrazad. See, I'm panicking already. That I'm like, it's another military term. Quick, panic. But yes, so we've got some questions. We're going to start asking them. And as we go, please feel free, type in the chat. Ask those burning questions. Moderators, please be ready to censor some of those questions. I'm already sensing that this chat might be this little gang, this little chat might be troublesome. So I'm going to start off with lots of the player questions, really, and then unfortunately run out of time to answer any of my own. GM's prerogative.
Yeah. We'll just keep the stream going until you have to answer.
So, we've got lots of questions, and they tend to all be around the design of your player characters, how you came up with your player characters. So, I'm going to start asking some of these questions. And I think what I'll do is, because some of them are quite similar, I'm going to read out the question, I'm going to ping it to a member of the cast, and then we'll all watch as you awkwardly try and answer your question, trying to be interesting but not reveal too much about your character and panic that you might have said too much or not enough. Okay, so we've got our first question. So this was, I'm going to look over here. My notes are over here, so apologies while I keep looking over here instead of at all of you lovely people. So this question came in from Spikia91. And Spikia91 asks, what made you choose the specific archetype that you did for each of your characters? So I think this is a great one to ask each of you and to have a little discussion about. And then actually that might give me a little, I can take a little opportunity to fling in some Vaesen lore / rules, and we can talk a little bit about the RPG. Mike, you're at the top of my screen, so don't worry, I'll shuffle it about. You won't always be first on the list. So Mike, what made you choose your archetype for your character?
It gave me the most to play with. I like a full-bodied, juicy thing to get my teeth into. And with the archetype that I picked, it kind of gave me the ability to play with it a fair bit. So that was why I went with the paranormal investigator, hoping to reveal more. There's some bits to Max that people will get to find out. It's not yet. And one of these days I'll get a non-jittery camera. Or connection at least.
At least you're not using a laptop, so when you move, it shakes.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I feel it might be
early days.
Early days. I feel it might be a little bit my fault that you're so slow, because I think I'm hard lined in, and obviously OBS is like, yummy bandwidth.
I'm also hardlined in now, though.
Oh yeah, that's true. That trip hazard.
Yeah. The one that's running through the house, you mean?
Exactly. So, Matt, the same question is coming
Yeah.
straight into your direction. What made you choose your archetype?
Well, I have spent a lot of my life, I'll admit, my TTRPG life playing characters with what we call smooth brain. I like to play a himbo. The aforementioned Callias is definitely a clear winner in the himbo character for me. So I wanted something that actually forced me to try and be smart and piece things together. I also went for the private detective, partially because one of our other players, Gus, made a joke once when we were playing about the D&D equivalent of Miss Marple, and it kind of stuck with me. Yeah, I admit,
Well, I mean, we've
not
had a
entirely
question.
Miss Marple,
Well, we've
yeah.
had a question from chat already for you, Matt.
Oh
Dimonink
God.
asks, "What is a himbo?" I feel like that's the perfect question for you to answer.
Or me, of course, a stunningly attractive but often rather clueless male. It's the polite way to put it. And the non-modest.
So we used to call it a tap. So I'd tap
Mm.
that tap thick and pretty. That there you go. There, yep. I am from Southend. Everybody, there you go. I've just revealed all on stream. So yeah, it's like a play on bimbo, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is indeed.
And for anybody in chat who's wondering who Callias is, Callias is a character that Matt plays in a D&D campaign that I've been running for, I don't even know how long, 2 years now?
Two and a bit?
Two and a
Yeah.
bit. And you will hear a lot of mention of Callias because Callias has opened my eyes as a DM to the things that you can be asked to roleplay and the things NPCs may have to suffer. There might be some more. You're bound to hear more tales from Callias and Callias's exploits. We've got one more to answer the question. So, Jack, what made you pick your archetype for the character?
It's stereotypical, really. It's my kind of avenue is what I'm comfortable with, and going into a new tabletop system that I hadn't played before, I was just like, I'm gonna go with comfort. I'm gonna go with something that I know, especially around the era as well. Just after the Napoleonic War, as a kid, I was a big fan of like Sharp, the Bernard Cornwell books. So I knew little bits about that, so I could draw influence off that. And as soon as I started sparking off that, the character just evolved. Yeah, Officer was just that's what I'm going with. Had a few other toy ideas, um, but as soon as because you made us roll for how wealthy we were as one of the features, and as soon as I rolled quite a high number, and I was like, "Oh no, you're high up in society," I was like, "Yeah, I'm an officer." Just I can't see anything else here.
Yeah, absolutely. That leads on. So you now have the Segway badge. You have your answer to your question has led to a perfect little conversation as the GM because I actually have got a question that was submitted, and the question that was asked, it was asked towards the GM, and it was how did I set up character creation? Did I open it up to all the players and just let them run wild with their imagination? Did I include any dice rolls? And how does character setup work in Vaesen? Vaesen is a really nice game system. It's super open and it gives you lots of different ways of character building. I knew I wanted to give my players the opportunity to have as much creativity as they wanted so that they could really create the character they wanted to play. I wanted our PCs to come to life and for us as players and you as the audience to really connect with them and begin to feel them as their stories unfold. That being said, I couldn't just let it be completely random. I couldn't let it just be completely up to the players. I needed some sort of random. I needed a little spark in there that would challenge my players. And so we included some dice rolls to drive a little bit of this sort of randomness to it. So each of the characters were asked to roll a d66. Now, this is something that you will come across as we play Vaesen. It is an unusual dice roll, but that is very specific to the Vaesen system, or the Year Zero engine that drives Vaesen. And it's rolling 2d6s, one being the percentile die and one being the normal die. And then when you look at them, if you rolled a 3 and a 5, it's 35. So the guys had to roll some of these dice to discover what their background was. Now, the backgrounds run all the way from destitute, meaning grew up on the streets with nothing, all the way to aristocrat, being the wealthiest in society and being born with a silver spoon. And so as the guys were given the challenge of starting to think up characters, they were also randomly assigned by their dice roll the background of their character. So while they're looking at the different archetypes and thinking, who do I want to play? What do I want to play? It was then thrown in like at random without any warning that, okay, great, you're going to think about your character and you're an aristocrat background, or you have the burger background, or actually you're destitute, you have no money at all, and you grew up on the street. And this really fed into I think how a lot of the characters evolved and how a lot of them sort of generated outwardly in a lot of our players, who sort of looked at the list of archetypes and thought, that's what I want to play. But then, who is this person? What is their background? That evolved from there. So I've got another question. This one actually is from this is from Viking Jack, actually, who you can see right here. Okay, so you can blame this unit if the question's horrible. So Jack asked again, king of the segue. The question that Jack asked was following on from the previous question about the archetype you picked. Jack has asked, have you based your character off of anyone, or was the character inspired by anyone? We're talking film characters, popular culture, literature, that sort of thing. And actually, I know a few people have, because there have been a few conversations where people have thrown up this character in this film is who I see when I play my character. I'm kind of moving down my list a little bit. Matt, you're in the firing line for this question. Is Quentin inspired or based off anyone, or maybe a few different people have been sort of threaded together to create this concept, this character?
Yeah, I drew a lot of inspiration from a lot of different sources. So when we were, for a start, doing our character artwork, poor Shuja had, I don't even know how many photos from me sent within the space of about 10 minutes of, I would like, for example, the outfit David Tennant wears as the Doctor. I love that coat. I like this style for a jacket. Then my hair, I'm looking at this. This is the type of beard, and bless her, she absolutely nailed it. I'm in love with my art, but there's no like concrete person, so I don't look at like, say, a Sherlock Holmes or something like that and go, this is exactly my character. I'd say most of my inspiration comes, I quite like dark books and stuff like that. When I grew up, I read a lot of Darren Shan, a lot of like the Demonata books and stuff like that. And I feel my background, when Vaesen was described to me, immediately it made me think of like the Demonata series and stuff like that. And I think I took a lot from that, mainly designing the background rather than the look, but yeah, I think that's my main thing.
Yeah.
Out of interest, what character from the Demon After series? I was a big fan of them as a kid. So
Oh. Without giving too much away, there's a bit of Grubs Grady in there. There's a bit
Nice.
of that in the backstory. So it's oh no.
Oh, see, there we go. We've had the first player squirm as they don't know whether how much to reveal and how much to conceal.
Was half player squirm, half awoken baby.
Oh.
Oh. I entered dad mode for a second.
And Mike, how
Yeah.
about you?
So for myself, So first of all, obviously, you get the background and things like that, and then I was rewatching some clips of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I wanted an aloof. I knew that he would be slightly mentally broken, off with the fairies' aloofness. And Drusilla walked across the screen, looking at stars at the ceiling, or playing with Miss Edith and having a tea party with all of her dollies. And it's that kind of aloofness in the other world, but not quite, that I really liked with her. There's a couple of other characters. Kind of wanted him to be a little childlike, but very on it, very, very smart, with the kind of cutting questions in a way. So, like last week with the vicar, and just asking very blunt, straightforward, this is the question, I want an answer. And if you don't give me the answer, I'm going to just keep asking it until you do. And that was... You have a kind of concept as you go in with the character, and then as you start playing the character, it comes alive sometimes in a completely different way as well. You can go in with like, this is exactly what I'm gonna do, this, and then you get 5 minutes into playing the character, and all of that's gone out the bloody window, and you're on to something different as the character comes alive. But yeah, I wanted an aloof genius that was a bit childlike, really and truthfully.
Yeah, absolutely. I am in 100% agreement with Divnink that Drusilla is such a good character. Drusilla is
Julie Benz, the
such a
actress
good
who played her.
actress.
Yeah, Julie Benz was an absolute star in that role, pre and when she then obviously changes the character slightly in like 2 series after she does. The way that she carries it through, but on a much stronger aspect, is amazing.
100% Drusilla is like an inspirational note in one of my what characters do I want to play in D&D. 100% I'm like, I want to play either a warlock or a sorcerer, and I want it to be based on Drusilla. Like someone who has, like, for a warlock, someone who has seen some great and terrible power and made a pact with it, it has just shattered like the grip on reality, and you get that kind of phasing in and out where sometimes they're with you, sometimes they're not, but they seem to be there all the time, but like completely not with you at the, just I love that kind of overriding concept. I'm a little jealous that you got in there first with the character, because it's been on my list for some time. I've just never managed to coax. I've never had the reason to coax out of the cupboard this idea. Jack, I mean, I saved you till last so that you can wow us with your well-prepared answer to your own question.
That's the thing. I haven't really, because I'm drawing the influence, as I said, from Sharp and Bernard Cornwell in his books. But he's a amalgamation of multiple officers within the books. Because Sharp himself is if you haven't read the books, he's desolate. He doesn't even know who his mum is, and he's raised from the ranks into being an officer. And it's his journey through becoming. I think he becomes a major at the end, and the personalities that he meets along the way. So he meets officers that have bought their commission, and officers that have struggled with it, and the different respects that the soldiers have for them. And I always admired, especially the 95th Rifles within history, as a lot of men looked up to the officers still. They all worked up the ranks, and I wanted that aspect, that he was an officer that people respected. And that's what kind of drew. And so that's why in the last session, he was asking, right, guys, what are we doing? Rather than taking the officer's role and taking charge, he wanted to know what everyone's objectives was, to then find common ground and go, right, okay, this is where we're going. And so yeah, it was multiple different characters who had the same aspects, and I just put them in a big cauldron and just boil it together. And as Michael said earlier, it's just kind of, as soon as you sit at the table, you know who the character is. You start developing the character. And if I went, right, he's Sean Bean, no, he's not. He's who I've created this character to be. With influences from multiple different places. Master and Commander, the captain from that comes to mind. His style of leading. Yeah, my wow answer there.
This is not Sean Bean. Otherwise, we'd be having a player death sometime soon.
Absolutely.
I was just thinking, thank goodness that's not the inspiration. Some awful dramatic death scene is coming.
Hey, in Sharp, the TV films they did for ITV, he survives the whole way through.
He really does. It's the only. I think it's one of the only ones he ever did. Like Lord of the Rings, nope. Game of Thrones, nope. I'll be right back, guys.
Yep. It was so cool as well being like, I was actually obviously in the audience for the first one rather than playing, and seeing your characters, come alive on screen was so cool, because we have kept a lot from each other even.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much no character art, and for some of them you don't even know who that character art belongs to. So
I mean, it's good
it was so cool.
It's good for me to realize that you're the one that's playing the private detective. I had no idea beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there definitely has been an aspect of so it's back to character creation. I set up a Discord for this project, and I gave everyone a unique channel in which I could work with them to build the character. And the idea behind it was everything in that channel was a secret unless the player decided to share that information outwardly. We have kept almost everything a secret because up until the moment that we design an episode, we didn't know who knew each other. So everyone needed to be strangers until we had that conversation and said, okay, cool. So this is episode 1. How do you know each other? Why would you meet at the train station? You know, what is it that would connect all of you and get that to happen? And the players then had the conversation of, okay, well, I know this person and they know this person. And that's what you then saw last week, is the characters kind of coming together, having had a pre-conversation about who knew who and how they all knew each other. But at the same time, the actual character creation process being such a secret that each other are limited by how much each other share as to how much they know. And it kind of brings a sense of almost realism into role play, I feel, where you actually get the shocks and the gasps at discovering things about your fellow players that you didn't know when you went into the campaign. I absolutely love it when you get weeks into a game or a campaign and suddenly, you know, someone comes to the realization that that this player's not a wizard, they're a warlock, and they're not a good person, they're a baddie. And you know, those kind of shocks you get at the table, I absolutely love them. And I really wanted to savor those moments so that we could share them with you as we went into these games. And so even character art was done separately so that people could maintain as much of their identity secret and then share that information when they wanted to and how they wanted to share it, and who they wanted to share it with. That makes things even more exciting, as you might find that you have another player at the table who did know all along. That these change the social dynamics of the players as we go, and that's something that I really wanted to save. I mean, it's one of my favorite things as a DM/GM, depending on the game system, is seeing the characters come to life, seeing them interact with each other, and their reactions as one another's backstories are revealed, as they make discoveries about one another. And it's one of the things that I love about running these games, and so I had to make sure that was going to happen in the society games. I think this is probably a really, really good idea to fling out another question that was asked by Spikia91. They asked, how long has everyone been playing RPGs for? What RPGs do you play? What is your favourite? And have you ever been a DM or a GM? That's a lot of questions, so let's break them up a little bit. I think the first question, has everyone played RPGs before? That's a big capital yes from all of us here at the table. So I guess the first of the questions is, what RPGs do you play? And what would be your favourite? I think that's a question there. We're going to start with Jack. Why? Because why not?
So,
Nice every time.
ooh, I mean, I've been playing D&D for, I want to say 5-6 years. It's probably longer than that. I've lost track now. I've done so many campaigns now with it. I then played Call of Cthulhu. That was when I introduced to a lot of other players, which is a very different system. And then I went to this random coffee shop and bumped into this other bearded gentleman who introduced me to Vampires of the Masquerade. And we got playing, and he got talking about this other one, which was Alien, and invited me to play online. And then it just went from there, didn't it, Luke?
I mean, you're making me sound like some sort of RPG dealer. Like, it's some cafe at night. I'm like, hey, would you like an RPG fix? Like little backhand under the table.
You mean that's not what you're doing?
I feel like that's Don't be calling me out on stream.
Well, considering that I got home from one of the vampires at 2:00 in the morning. Yes.
Oh, don't be. Yeah, absolutely. What one is your favourite?
I don't know,
Oh,
because they all have different aspects. I mean, the D&D, you are made to feel like the hero. You are made to feel that the world will be saved by you. You are the main one, which is majorly empowering and fantastic. Alien is horror to the max. You are sitting there, your heart is pounding, you are sweating, and it's thrilling. And you guys know that when we were playing that, I had a massive smile on my face the whole time we were playing it. Vampires is very political. They're all different aspects, and it really does come down to what's your flavor? What's your flavor of ice cream that you like? I can't say a favorite. We haven't played Vaesen long enough yet to say that one yet.
I mean, that's fair enough, absolutely. Matt, same question. What RPGs do you play, and which one is your favourite?
Well, I had a lot of years back in like sixth form in uni, in the old days, trying to play second edition.
Old days. Don't be trying to sell us that you're some sort of haggard old cast member.
It died from the same BBEG as most role-playing games, which was scheduling. So I then had lots of years of not playing, but always wanted to get back into it. And then probably two and a bit years ago, a QA advisor was like, "Hey, I'm going to run a game at work. Why don't you play?" And we did a one-shot that was maybe 10 parts, as all one-shots do. And then we played for, the last few years. We've done a long campaign. I started DMing myself in that. And I managed to play Alien, and obviously I'm looking forward to playing Vaesen. Oh, I always wanted to play Call of Cthulhu. I think it's my favorite one that I've never played. I've watched so many people play it, and it looks incredible, but I've just, not got around to it. But I'm a sucker for 5e, just because I absorb D&D content. Like, I'm either watching Dungeon Dudes or Critical Role, or I'm planning sessions on that, or I'm playing once or twice a week. So, but I feel good that Vaesen may overtake it because the system seems beautiful and elegant, and I'm excited.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm in complete agreement with Captain Sherazad. I feel like this has turned into, it's not Meet the Cast anymore. It is now calling out the DM, calling out the gym. I feel seen. Like, I'm scared to ask this question to you now, Mike, because I feel like I'm going to get the flack for this as well.
Corrupted us all. My dice obsession. So many dice, Luke. I've never bought them.
Okay, fair. Go on, Mike.
So, I am a lockdown baby when it comes to D&D. Luke had. This is calling out the GM completely. So, a few years back, Luke was like, D&D, you might like that. Here's a starter set. Do you want to get it? Yeah, I bought it. And it was another 2 years then before we actually got around to playing it. The Lost Mines of Phandelver. Started in March of 2020. And haven't really stopped. Ever? Done a one-shot with Vampire the Masquerade. Done Alien, 2 campaigns of Alien, which is, I love Alien completely. It's such a different aspect because you've got the film in your head and you're trying not to metagame, which is always an interesting thing when it comes to D&D, is being like, oh, I know what this is. I'm not, but my character doesn't know. So making that distinction between the two. I have been DMing now for about a year. Really loving that as well. And Matt, I have never owned so many dice. Ever.
Beautiful math rock. So
I've got some shiny ones that are like that are made of crystal.
You have dice that when you roll them, they light up.
Yeah, I've got LED light up dice as well. Yeah, but I can blame Luke for all of those because he bought me them.
Oh,
he is the shiny math rock dealer as well as the D&D dealer here. But I also have a game that I'm really looking forward to actually running at some point, which is the Lord of the Rings RPG. So I'm really looking forward to getting into that. So but I'm the same with like with Jack. Like, there isn't a favorite. I love them all. I love DMing. I love playing. The Vaesen seems really cool because it's a different concept again. I love Alien. There just aren't enough nights in the week. And sorry, Dan.
yeah. I mean, I can answer this question as well. So, I play quite a few. I mean, you can see several step behind me. I started off like I think quite a lot of people start off with 5e. Well, with D&D. I didn't start off with 5e. I think a lot of people start off with D&D. I mean, it's so famous. It's just so famous, and you know, it's easy to kind of get involved with it. So I mean, I was quite young, so I was like I was a D&D kid. Like we played D&D when I was a kid, and then through like college and university and all of those sort of things. My kind of like real heavy like role playing times didn't actually really start until COVID, when it was a real kind of thing of like, we can't spend time together, so let's try and find a way to spend time together. And that's actually when I found Roll20. And I think I'm going to foist up most of the blame onto Roll20, in that Roll20 made it just so accessible for everybody to play. When we were in lockdown, it provides you with the virtual tabletop, the tokens, you can move them around. It's got the jukebox, the sound, it's got so many amazing features in it. And actually, I as much as I love at the table, RPG, I adore TTRPG. Being at the table, hearing the sounds of the dice rolling, the excitement and the cheering of natural 20, and in real life, it's got a real sense of magic. But playing online has got such an amazing sense of its own magic. It's so accessible. It makes like scheduling just so much easier for us. Like this is, and then this is how I've ended up reaching out to so many people. It's not been that I'm the luckiest person in the universe and can schedule everything, everyone's schedule is empty. It's that, we can do it from our living room or from kitchen or dining room, bedroom, wherever you are. You can do it. I've done it from a hotel room when I've traveled for work. And so that's kind of in the last few years, I've really flexed my muscles as a GM or a DM, coming from D&D background, 5e, and then from there I've just sort of stretched out, trying to find other things. I mean, I completely agree with Jack. I think D&D is the perfect medium, the perfect platform if you want to be the heroes or the villains. Actually, Mike knows very well. I ran a one shot for Mike and some friends where they played villains. They were the bad guys, and that ended up turning into a campaign because the players fell in love so much with that different experience of not having to be the hero, not having to try and think of the altruistic thing to do. Actually, we are going to stab this person and we're going to rob them. Done.
Absolutely. It started, I think, if I remember rightly, this will just be 4 weeks.
Yeah, and
Just be 4 weeks. It went on for 7 months.
Yeah, it went on for a long, and it was so much fun. But I really, as a DM, it is all heroes and villains, and as creative as you can be, the game system is the game system, the design is the design, and I know there are lots of other game systems out there. So I started thinking to myself, let's explore, let's see what's out there, let's see what other things there are. Actually, I remember watching a video from the Dungeon Dudes. If you don't know who they are, check them out on YouTube, check them out on Twitch. They are absolutely amazing. They did a video, and Kelly said that actually he got a lot of inspiration by playing other TTRPGs. The situations that they create inspired creating new content in 5e, and that I was very up for that. New ideas, new content, and so I started sort of branching out. Now I've actually branched out a fair bit. So 5e is always going to be my bag. I've played the most hours of 5e. That's what I play the most. But Alien RPG, it genuinely is the Alien movies in RPG format. Like, it is incredible. It's by Free League. It uses the Year Zero engine, and actually it's Alien that got me into Vaesen. Made by Free League Publishing. It was the same game system, and I was like, well, I've learned Alien, so it made Vaesen very accessible. Vaesen, Nordic horror I was like, well, done. Take my money. Take it all. It wasn't until I actually got the book and read through the absolutely stunning rulebook. It really is beautiful. When I started looking through that and I saw like myths, legends, fairy tales, like I just felt so excited to be able to bring that to life. Now, you can do that in 5e, sure, but 5e, you're so mystical and magical and powerful yourselves, it becomes more of a fantasy, whereas Vaesen creates this like Brothers Grimm. I was like, I want to see the looks on my players' faces when they are alone in a dark wood with mist and there is a creature in the trees. Like, I am living for this kind of this mystery, this horror. It, and it's such a different sort of concept. Alien, I fell in love with, and I probably am going to say something a little scandalous. I think Alien is my favourite. I genuinely think Alien might be my favourite.
You heard it
Terrifies
here
all.
first, kids.
I know, now I feel very seen. Why is Alien my favourite? Well, I will tell you. Alien is the only RPG game that I have played where the idea is to make it as horrifying as possible and kill everyone. Don't hold back. Ever. If you see an opportunity to kill a player, kill them and make it worthwhile. Make it gory, make it stick, make it memorable. Traumatize your players. And I was like, yeah, I kind of like this. When you see it in real life, Mike mentioned metagaming. Alien has its own thing. It has something called meta horror, where you all know the Alien films. Your characters don't. And so you wander into a room where you see these weird leathery egg sacs and it looks like there's something in it. As a player, you know what's coming next. But your character doesn't. And so you have to knowingly roleplay yourself into your own death. I mean, it might not be your death, but it very likely is. That conundrum, that is just beautiful. And I don't know, D&D is beautiful, but Alien gives me a buzz. It gives me the buzz. I also play Star Trek Adventures. I love Trek. I love it. That's a
I
beautiful
completely
game
forgot
system.
about Star Trek.
Oh my god, it's such a beautiful game system. And Vampire the Masquerade. I am a huge Vampire the Masquerade fan. It is an amazing RPG game. It is absolutely amazing. So much so, we watched a documentary about it recently, just because I love it so much. So yeah, they're all the I mean, there's a couple of others knocking around. Like there is the D20 Star Wars that I can GM and play, and I'm really excited to get into this Lord of the Rings RPG that is also a Free League creation. Hit up Free League. When we do the credits at the end of the episode, there'll be a little chat. If one of the mods can put the Free League website into the chat, that would be great. Hit them up. Genuinely, their game systems are beautiful, and the production of all of their books and stuff is just superb.
And to fair for new players, especially on the Vaesen rulebook, it's so easy to read and understand. I mean, like character creation, because as soon as we got involved, my wife and I bought the book. We bought the rulebook for ourselves, so we could then go, oh right, so this is what we're doing, right? I can see it now, and it is just so easily laid out that we can't miss a beat, really.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, I mean, I feel like that's the question for the evening. I mean, like we're done. I'm like, cool, big tick, we're all done. But we have got a couple more. So what we're going to do, we're going to ask another question. At 9 o'clock, we're going to take a little break just so that we can all run, grab a drink, snacks, whatever. And then we'll come back and we'll just answer a few more questions so that you could, and we'll carry on chatting about Vaesen. So just before we go on our break, I'm just scrolling through all my questions. Grumpy Gust sent through a question. Have you played any other Free League RPGs? Which is another big capital yes, because everyone here has experienced Alien. And that
I feel experience. Yeah, exactly.
everyone has definitely experienced that. But Grumpy Gust asked the question: did your previous characters that you've played in any of the Free League games, have the previous characters influenced your choice of character in this game, knowing that the game system is very similar, and that there's like the way that Year Zero engine works? So do you feel like playing Alien has fed into any of that at all, or do you think your experience with those Free League games, like Alien, do you think that this has sort of influenced your character or your playstyle? That's a good question, and I'm going to ask Matt, because Matt looks the most awkward about it.
Well, thinking back to Alien, it's just a shame that I should have known better. I, once again, without saying too much, am not exactly combat focused as a character, which may have been very much my downfall in Alien. As I got killed by another player.
Yes, you did. Yeah,
Was weak as hell.
it was
So
beautiful.
you'd think I'd have gone full out, combat ready, but no, I did not.
I mean, do you think your Alien experience has kind of fed into this? Like, I remember this game. This game is emblazoned in my mind for all time. Some of the best roleplay moments I think I've ever had from this game. And like, do you think then that your knowing that your character wasn't combat heavy kind of fed into your role play? Like, it really fed. There was so much politicking from your character to try and manipulate the situation. Do you think that experience has kind of, it made you, maybe did it make you feel confident to be able to play a non-violence character?
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, definitely. Like, I knew I could do it, and I knew I enjoyed trying to talk my way out of situations. So, yeah, I feel happy with my decision, but we'll see. Because, yeah, we'll see if it ends the same way as it did back then, I think. Hopefully not. I'm looking at you two.
Looking at all the other players being like, please don't let another player kill me.
Please let it be a monster.
It might just be like Max's trigger when he sees you, like.
Mike, what about you? So have your experiences with the other Free League games sort of fed into your character creation or your character choice, or any of the aspects of how you're going to role play?
So, playing Alien previously, of course, I get the system, like the Roll20 system. I get how it works. I understand. Oh, look, we're now injured. Start rolling on a really horribly scaling scale. Just to, there you go. That lovely D66 on the critical injuries list of Alien. It's fantastic.
You will be very excited to know that Vaesen have Free League obviously love the critical injuries table just as much as you do, Mike. And Free League have decided, why have one when you can have two? In Vaesen, there is a critical injury table for if you are mentally injured by the horrors that you witness. Just for you, I knew you'd love it.
Love it. But the difference with Alien gives you pre-built characters,
Yeah.
so you don't really have to do much. Or the Alien games that we've played, obviously, because they're pre-generated campaigns. They give you pre-generated characters that are so easy to just step into the shoes of. You only have to do a smidge of character creation with Alien because you've got all their details. You know what they are. You know what their agenda is, what they're trying to do, and whether or not when you start the game, whether you're just going to try and be out to kill everybody or not. Will you be the last to survive? Whereas with Vaesen, you gave us that blank canvas. Okay, yeah, there was a little bit of rolling for the background, but there was a lot more of a blank canvas with regards to run wild. What do you want to do? How do you want to build it? So, no. In a way, yes, and in a way, no.
I mean, I was really impressed when I read through the rulebook the first time round that I was like, how the genius of creating a game system. So the Year Zero engine, you'll hear me say that a few times. Year Zero engine. This is the name of the game system that drives Alien RPG. It also drives Vaesen, and the way that it just seamlessly slotted into Vaesen when it is such a dramatically different game style setting, like I thought was just it is a work of genius maneuvering this game system to just fit such a drastically different game. And so I totally can understand where you're coming from in that even though it's exactly the same, like the same gameplay and the way character sheets work and dice roll, the games are so drastically different between one another. It does feel like you're playing two completely different games. So yeah, I can totally see where you're coming from. Jack, I don't think I've asked you this question. I've started drinking gin, so.
To be fair, when I was thinking about it, at first I was like, no, I don't think. And then the more I went into it, actually, yes, it did from a dice rolling and meta point of view, understanding what each dice roll was and what I was putting it into. I can be quite meta in that sense. I know I am quite bad for that. So I wanted to make sure that he was good with his shooting and good at other aspects. So I made sure that the character and the dice rolls were built around that. I mean, we've all seen already my dice rolls, and we all know my classic dice rolls of. So I need, when my character can do what he can do, I need to make sure he can do what he can do.
Oh my goodness. Do you know what? I've just realised I have two kindred souls in on stream today. Matt, meet Jack. Jack, meet Matt. You are the two. I've never met anyone that rolls quite like you two do. And actually, you both roll the same. How you can be so unlucky with dice. These guys roll the worst dice unless it is life and death. Then it will be the best roll of the game, and then it's garbage after that as well.
I think in our Alien campaign, I think I actually got the highest kill count until the end, of course, of Xenos, because that's when my dice rolls would actually work. So yeah, I did take a lot of inspiration from Alien to go into Vaesen, knowing how I wanted to build the character. Private Hammer versus Lieutenant Colonel Bartholomew Seaton, two completely different. One was a psycho. Yeah. Yeah.
Which one?
So the Vaesen one is the psycho, yeah?
Too much.
Soon soon to be revealed.
Tune in for episode 2.
Jack kills everyone.
Oh, I mean, that would be a shock. So it is bang on 9 o'clock. We're going to run for a little break. So we're just going to take a 10-minute break so that we can run and have our short rest, roll our hit die, eat some provisions, and the like. So we will join you after the break. Please feel free. I'm going to hang around a little bit. I'm going to talk, chat. Have a little think about if you've got any questions. Now that you've heard us rambling on, you're probably praying that the end of the stream is coming soon, but unfortunately not. You're only halfway through. If you've got any questions that have arisen, please do bung them in chat. We are more than happy to answer all of your questions and for you to start getting to know some of our cast and our characters a little better. So, as I said, we're going to run for a little break and we will catch you afterwards. If I can work out how to do the whole streaming thing.
It didn't last time.
Hello! Okay, we are back from our break. I'm Wonky. This is a good start to the second half of the stream. I've had gin, all right? This big giant beaker that's now not full is gin. So, welcome back. We are refreshed, rejuvenated. We've had refreshments, rolled our hit die. We're ready to rumble. So, I'm going to bring back my 3 lovely cast members, and we are going to carry on with our Meet the Cast session. For anyone who has joined us over the intermission, we are having a Meet the Cast night tonight, where you guys get to ask us questions, me as the GM and 3 of our players, and we talk about the characters that we play, tabletop RPGs, the game system, and the society. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring back my 3 lovelies, and then we will hit up some more questions. Here they are. You never know which way round on the camera they are. They're over there.
Right place.
This is
Didn't
this
ruin
is
everything.
professional quality streaming right here, everyone.
This is stream number 2. We're allowed
Oh,
to still be
goodness
unprofessional.
me, goodness me. I'm going to
Everyone-
vanish for all of
everyone
5
comes here for
seconds.
Our professionalism.
All right. Well, welcome back to the stream, everybody. We have got some more questions. I have been a genius and looked at Instagram over the break, thanks to Matt. I put my phone on be quiet mode, so my phone was like, la la la, I'm not going to tell you people are asking questions. So we've got some more questions, which I'm excited to ask all of our cast. Now, how do I... This is going beautifully. Lovely.
Love be quiet mode as if you're scalding your phone.
I mean,
Be
I
quiet,
called it
you.
something different in the break. All right, so we are back, and that means that we have more questions to ask. So, we're basically talking about all of these sort of things and running through some questions. So I'm actually going to go over to our Instagram, which is in another place. I'm going to be looking in a different direction. I apologize, stream, while I'm not looking at you and talking. Now this is the streamer curse, where you get people using all their internet handles, and you never know whether to say it all as one word or whether to break it up. I'm going with Hwooty, 1993. I'm looking at Matt. Hopefully Matt will nod if I've got that right. And if you're in, type in the chat if I'm right, if you're in the stream. So Hwooty, 1993 asks, to the players, if you can reveal it, what is a quirk to your character that you enjoy? And I am going to throw in on top of this, because I feel like that's not hard enough, a question from our lovely Jack, who says, what do players do to get into their characters? So I'm going to kind of combine these into this horrible hybrid question that I ask you. So, if you can reveal it, what a quirk of your character that you really enjoy, and how do you get into character before you play? Now I know not everyone has featured in the stream to play their character yet, but I feel we can, if we broaden out this question, does anyone have anything interesting that they do to sort of prepare themselves for their character? I'm going to fly straight in with Matt, because you're at the top of my screen at the moment. So, over to you.
So yeah, quirk. I don't know yet, because I didn't want to choose it before I played him. I know it seems like a real cop-out answer. I could have, but yeah, I want to see if one comes naturally. I have a few sort of thoughts about him, but yeah, nothing concrete. But I can definitely answer the how do I get into character. I have already made a playlist for him with many, many songs going from his childhood life to really weird video gamey kind of soundtracks of like for private eyes and stuff like that. So yeah, I have a multi-hour playlist for the character, which maybe one day, if anyone wants it, they can get in the Quentin mood.
I mean, I'm throwing it out there as the GM when so actually I'm going to give you a little overview of how fabulous a character or how fabulous a player Matt is. So earlier, Matt mentioned that when we did the character art, we were able to send inspiration images to the artist and say, I really like this sort of hair and this look and this style and the clothes and all this. When Matt says that he sent quite a lot, I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot. And it wasn't just pictures like, I really like this guy's hair and I really like this coat. It was, here is a selection of colour swatches that I have selected that I feel represent Quentin. And then lo and behold, I then hear, oh, and I've created this playlist of music that I can listen to get into the mood. So as the GM, I was like, you need to send this over now so that I can hear it and kind of better understand the character within the story. And I'm sorry, I've just dived straight in there, but the colour swatches, honestly.
I also sent you a short story, a couple of paragraphs.
I mean, that was very much expected. I was going to get like a whole novella of backstory.
Totally not done that before.
Yeah.
Totally didn't bite me in the earth by writing the backstory. But yeah, I definitely spend my time learning a character.
Yeah.
But it will likely be a quirk that I have, because a common theme is most of my characters will end up inevitably exploring some part of myself that I've either not looked at or looked at in the past. And yeah, they all turn into an aspect of me eventually. So I'm excited to find what Quentin's quirk is. Should be interesting.
I mean, I'm also very excited. One of the things that delights me as the DM and the GM is seeing the paper come to life. We spend a lot of time building these characters, and if anyone's unfamiliar with RPGs and TTRPGs, you tend to create a character sheet, which is like a piece of paper with lots of boxes and columns and tick boxes, and it's sort of filled in, and that's almost like the soul. You kind of look at that and you think, God, this is the character on paper, but it isn't. The soul of that character comes to life in the role play and in the game, and I delight in seeing these things come to life. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing Quentin in, hopefully, fingers crossed, episode 2. Which will come once we get all of our way through episode 1, which we started last week. For those of you who are watching live on stream, our moderator has slotted in the details for our amazing character artist who did all of the character art for the society, and actually is still doing some of the character art for some of our later featuring characters. I genuinely don't really know what I would do without this wonderful artist. It was a pivotal moment in the project that brought it to life, and it was one of the greatest joys to see each of my players have their character art revealed to them and see their joy and their amazement as things come to life. The link is in chat now. So Shusha UK, so that's ZSUZSAUK on Instagram. Go and have a look. The artwork is beautiful. It is absolutely stunning. So please head over, have a little look, give a little like. It's always a joy to see some of Shusha's things come up in my Insta feed. I particularly like She has a series of beautiful images with this little creature that reminds me of Worry, and I just absolutely adore them. It has been a pleasure. So yeah, hit them up in the link. Now that I've waffled, I'm going to ask someone a question, but I might not repeat the question. So Mike, your turn.
Okay.
Do you remember
So-
the question?
I do. It's fine. So there's a lot that goes into Max, which I'm not obviously going to reveal because one of my fellow players in the current episode is currently here, and it's going to be more interesting for him to find that out. But knowing that allows me to play on him a bit more, and it gets me also to kind of think 3, 4, 5 steps ahead as to what I'm going to do when I get to an area as Max. To help get into character, for this, I've got a nice jacket that I pop on, to kind of like remind me of Max. I wear a blazer type thing, and it was quite funny last week when we started episode 1, and there's myself, Jack, and Sarah waiting in the wings with the "we're going live" kind of thing going on, and making everybody laugh by going, "And now I'm going into character. I'm going to pick this," and just trying to make people relaxed about trying to not worry about the world of Twitch and YouTube later on. It's no different to our normal D&D games where it's just us and nobody else is watching. It's just now we have a chat that's commenting and having a great time, hopefully, and people watching afterwards. If I've got a voice, I'll maybe practice it a little bit as like getting ready for him. But other than that, it's what comes on the night.
And how about you, Jack? So we're talking about quirks of your character, and how do you get into that character before we play? And I apologize if we now get a very dramatic cameo of my cat that has decided to climb on my desk.
He has a quirk. Bartholomew has a quirk, which has already slowly started to be revealed. I'm not going to tell anyone at the moment, but it's going to be quite obvious as the stream goes on. You're going to see it come up more and more. To get into character, for myself, it's the same. I've got a bit of a playlist that I listen to, and for him, it's literally old military tunes. Very almost patriotic kind of. Yeah, it's watching or rereading sections of Sharp of characters and just getting that back up. And then for me, I've done a little bit of acting, so it's then positioning myself correctly in the chair. It's the whole body positioning which is different to my normal position of how I then am. As quite a few of my players will say, I do a lot of voices. And even you guys have heard me now start to do, especially you, like, you've heard me do voices for different characters. Yeah, I do that a lot. I do voices a lot. I like to do that side of things. Yeah, so once I sit down and I've got that body position and I've got that mindset, I'm there for myself.
This is actually a really interesting question. I I'm really fascinated actually by the way that the different ways in which people attach and associate with the characters that they play, and the way that they get into character. I discovered mine. It was something that I hadn't even realized I was sort of doing until I sort of noticed it. Every time I play a new character, I buy a new set of dice. And I make sure that the dice are themed to the character. So every single one of the characters I've ever played in an RPG has their own unique set of dice, and I only ever use those dice for that character. So for me, getting into character is getting that set of dice down off the shelf and priming them. It makes me attached to the character that's associated with those dice. And then I know as I'm priming those dice, that is who I am going to roleplay. It reminds me of their quirks and their mannerisms, the funny things that they've said, and like it reminds me of how they feel. But yeah, each character having its own unique set of dice, I found was really useful. That's how I've attached to each of the characters. That's how I get into character when I am playing rather than GMing. I find it really interesting how I'd never even thought about making a playlist. I'd never even thought about it. And now I'm inspired to maybe create these sort of little playlists for some of my characters. We have a question in chat from Captain Shahrazad, who says, in this game system and setting, is a character dying going to be rough or just another Sunday? Interesting question. Death in Vaesen. There is mortality in Vaesen. Vaesen has a lot of mortality hidden behind it. Our characters aren't superheroes. They're not superhuman. They are mortals with gifts. Everyone only has 3 hit points. That's it. That's all you get. 3 hit points. So that means that death is... it's a possibility. We could lose one. We could lose a character. We could lose someone. And if we do, it will be a moment. We will take all the time that it needs to create a poignant and pinnacle story moment around what has happened. That being said, on the other hand, unlike Alien, Vaesen is not out to get you. It is not out to kill characters. Vaesen is out to tell stories. And so I have warned all of the characters that you are mortal and your mortality is very real. When you play your character, you need to be conscious of that. If you find yourselves in a gunfight, run, hide, duck for cover, as if you would in real life. If you heard gunshots, you wouldn't stand there and return fire. You would find cover, you would hide, and then you would make a decision. Do you run? Do you fight? What do you do? Vaesen pushes players to think like that. You have to consider your actions and the danger they pose to you. You know, if you want to do something harebrained, like run across the top of a train while it's going, be my guest. It would be an amazing action piece to the story, but know that you are in terrible danger because it is a dangerous activity. So hopefully that kind of answers the question, Captain Shahrazad. I'm going to do...
No pressure.
I'm going to do a lot to try and not kill you, but, you know, I'm not going to hold back if you get yourself shot.
I'm going to sacrifice everybody around me first.
Not if we sacrifice you.
Yeah, and that is one of the... I think that's one of the things about the Vaesen game is it kind of gets you in touch with your mortality. You're not a superhero. So you really need to play that as you go. So some questions. We've asked lots and lots of questions about players. I've actually got quite a few questions. Some targeted. Oh my god, that makes it sound a bit ominous, doesn't it? Some of the questions are asking me as the GM about the world. and the backdrop to our story. And some of them are asking about influences and inspiration that is feeding into the society. So I have had a question from our lovely Jack asking what has been the inspiration for the current story. So what I'm going to, and then I've also had a question from Hootie1993 on Insta, who said, if it can be revealed, what themes did you draw on when creating the world and storyline? So this is a really nice kind of opening for me to waffle at great length. Prepare yourselves. About inspiration and world building and all of the creation and things. So the current story. So episode 1, which opened on last Sunday. So in the society, episodes are going to be the mysteries that we go on. So the current story that we're on, the current mission, the current mystery, it is set in a small Norwegian town called Espedalen, which I have actually been to. Mike and I have both been to Espedalen, and Espedalen is in fact home to the gates of hell. Helvete is a place, and Mike and I have been there. We went on holiday. Mike and I have a great love for Norway. We went on holiday one year, and we saw it on the map, and we were like, the way to hell, we're going, let's go. It sounds great. And it is, in fact, a sort of canyon-y, geological feature, sort of cave-y, sort of system. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a collapsed cave system where the roof has fallen in, so it's completely exposed, but you've got in places these beautiful archways of stone that have been carved by water. That's only half an archway almost. It's absolutely fantastic. It's not far from Lillehammer, if people know Norway.
And it's a really, really beautiful place, and there are lots and lots of stories and mysteries and tales that revolve around that area of Norway. One of the key things about that part of the country is Peer Gintvagen, which is it is a very long, it's a tourist route. And it is named after Peer Gynt, who, I mean, a lot of people might be familiar with the Peer Gynt suite, and there's lots of very famous pieces of music that come from it. One of the most famous pieces of music that comes out of the Peer Gynt suite is the Hall of the Mountain King. This is all steeped in local legend. Even the I can't remember if it's an opera or there is a theatrical show for Peer Gynt, and it is based on all of the legends that are steeped in that local area. For this particular mystery, I have picked one and I have pinned on it, and I'm setting the scene. It is going to be I'm hoping it's going to be an exciting reveal, and it is going to set the tone, and it will have legacy. This mystery will hang around for a long time. It will be in memory. It will be recounted. We will be reminded of this first game as we play on, and that kind of feeds into like how did what themes did I pull on to create the world. Vaesen is set in the mythic North. This is what they call it in the book. The mythic North is set in the 19th century. That's right, isn't it? That's the 18s. Yep. So it's set in the 19th century, but the Vaesen book itself tells you to flex all of your creativity, and if you want to change world events to suit your story, do so. And we have. As a world builder, I didn't want to just take a historical world that actually existed. I wanted to create one that had a little bit of mystery, but it also had some aspects in the world that kind of brought us out of the real world and into a story world. For me, a lot of role playing is about getting into a story world that isn't this one. So I have based our Mythic North on real world events, but as I was doing so, I took the opportunity to consider, what do I think would happen if this side had won that war, or if this person hadn't, if this inventor hadn't died suddenly of a mystery disease. What else would they have invented? What would happen if religion was different? You may have noticed in the first episode they went to Espadal, and then there was a temple to the old gods. What would the world have been like if religious changes had happened in a very different way? This is something that I'm exploring in this world. And so it is a combination, really, of looking at the real world, looking at the inspiration from the Vaesen book, but also trying to flex some of my world building creativity to bring us to. My plan was never to create a parallel universe, but more to create a story world that had some mystery and intrigue that and could have some features that I really love. Just you wait till we have the episode with an airship, or until we have the episode where we start flexing some of what is Steam capable of. And some of the very strange inventions that I have uncovered in my investigations, like a train line that balanced on a single rail using gyroscopes on the inside. Does that not sound cool? So let's put that in. And that's sort of how it has happened. I've looked at some of the history, some of the things that never actually made history, and have fused it together into a unique story world that feels real enough that it could be our world, but it's different enough that it clearly isn't. So hopefully that kind of answers that pair of questions. Oh my goodness, I have fallen behind on my flagging what questions I haven't asked.
So you've made an exciting world.
When you sent us all the information for it, there was a massive section of Discord just telling us everything. I think my wife even turned around saying, "Is he trying to convert us to paganism within these?"
Yes, there was a large section in there, which I took a lot of the inspiration from. So in some of the research that I did in Iceland, in Iceland they have. One of the recognized religions of that country is a kind of recreation of the old religion. They call it Asatru and Vanatru. They actually have a gigantic church, and the church is dedicated to the worship and the religious practice related to the Old North, the North Norse pantheon. So we're talking Odin and Thor and Freya and Njord and Frigga and Freyr and Loki. And so I was really excited by this sort of idea of, like, here is this modern interpretation of that religion that is currently being practiced. What would the world have been like if that religion had not had a religious gap in that region? What if it had continued to evolve and been commonplace in the country? And actually that has then led me into a really interesting conundrum of thinking, what kind of conflicts would arise from that? So thinking about some more questions, I've got one for everyone on the chat. Our chat is about to explode, by the way. So all of the cast members, Oren has just raided us. So I want to say a big hello to all the raiders. Hi.
Hi.
It's lovely to have you join us. Welcome. We are the Society. We are an RPG group. We are currently playing our Vaesen RPG that we have called the Society. Interestingly, you've caught us on a not RPG night. You've caught us on a Meet the Cast night. So we are currently responding to questions to our cast and questions to me as the GM about our characters and our game. So welcome along. We hope you enjoy the rest of the stream, and we hope that you are having a lovely evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. So Spikia has asked me, Spikia91 has asked me another really interesting question, and I feel a little bit like I'm going to ask it to all of you. I'm going to ask it to myself first, and when you hear the question, you'll know why I'm going to ask it to all of you, because as a GM, I'm really interested to ask fellow DMs how you tackle this. So Spikia91 asked, how do you handle your players making unexpected choices / going off the rails? What a question.
Mm-hmm.
I think as all of us, having been DMs or GMs at some point or other in a tabletop RPG, this is a really poignant question. And I think for very new GMs, or people who are thinking about starting it, this is one of their biggest sort of fears, is players going off-piste and taking you in a place that you haven't prepared. I think the way that I handle it personally is I try not to create linear situations. I don't, when I write down my GM notes, I try not to make them linear in any way, shape, or form. I write my notes down like, this is the place, these are the buildings, these are the people in the buildings, this is what they know. That gives me, it means that I'm not beholden to a storyline. I give you a reason to go to the village and you have a thing you need to complete, but I haven't created a linear situation. So if you guys decide to go off-piste and be like, hey, I don't want to talk to that person at all, I'm going to go and wander off to this graveyard that looks really ominous. I've already got the graveyard as a location, and I've already thought about what might happen if you go into the graveyard. I find that writing my notes in this way, it has come with practice and failure. Being able to write them like that, and it is this practice and this failure. It's the having those experiences where you have players. A really famous one in my history as a DM has actually the two ones that get recounted more than any others come from the same person, and that is a very good friend of ours.
Poor Matt.
No, it's not Matt, actually, it's Charlie Bird. The first one was creating this epic encounter in a dungeon, and Charlie's character opened the door. I spent an age describing the epic scene that was within the door, and then I said, and what will you do? And she went, I will shut the door. And then the players went on a little rampage of how were they going to lock the door. And I remember thinking, but my encounter, I spent so long balancing that for you, you horrible, I hate all of you, damn you players. Like, and it was so unexpected. And we all just sat there in silence being like, and I remember seeing all the players looking at one another like, can she do that? Is she allowed to just shut the door and pretend it hasn't happened? And then the other one is in a completely different campaign. The same player. We were playing D&D, okay, to give you context, and the same player turned to me and went, "What's the date?"
Horror. Horror.
I don't know. I don't even know how the calendar of Faerun works. Like, I'm so unprepared with this. And I remember panicking and feeling like I needed an answer. And I remember, and it kind of broke my train of thought, and it broke the story. And I remember panicking and feeling like, oh my God, there's this detail that I don't have. And if I don't provide a date, like it will break the story, and it won't make it feel so real and so alive. And actually, in hindsight, and following on from that awful moment of being asked what the date is, I've realized that actually sometimes you don't need to, if someone asks you a question, really what you're after is not what is the answer to the question, what is it they want to know. And in this instance, it wasn't what is the date, that wasn't the important piece of information. The theme, the question came from an area of did did some huge historical event happen at this time that might explain the ghosts? That was where the question came from. So I ended up going down a rabbit hole of investigating how the internet was describing the Faerunian calendar and realizing that they have 10 days in a week, not 7, and they don't have the same number of months, and just like some sort of weird nightmare, only to realize actually all I needed to tell her was, yes, a historical event did happen here. Give me a history roll. You learn these things from playing. I'm actually going to throw this question out to... I'm actually going to work my way in the opposite direction. I'm going to throw this question out to Jack. Jack, how do you handle your players making unexpected choices or going off the rails? And be careful, because I think you have some players knocking around in the chat, so don't give away too many trade secrets.
From what I can see, because I've got 2 of them in there at the minute, both Oren and Captain Shahrazad, and they know the most famous one. I just got into Call of Cthulhu, and I started bringing that influences in. I'm going, yeah, I can see how this is going to go. I've got this big Yongvale, this homebrew city. Something really creepy's happened here. There's these people in these white robes going around that are making out they're hating people. It's really creepy. The whole party walk in and go, nope, and turn around and get the fuck out of Dodge.
Very similar to I closed the door.
And I'm like, but this is a pivotal point in the campaign. This is a really, there's a summoning circle, a big creatures are going to be summoned from it. If you don't deal with this, something's going to happen. And they went, no, we're not dealing with it. And because they didn't find out that extra bit of information of what was going on, I was like, but it's pivotal. It's going to happen. And because I had built a full world, I'd done all the calendar, a little day tracker going on, they went gallivanting off to somewhere completely different, and they were like, right, we're going to sell our wares. And they came back again. At the same time as this creature just burst out from the city. So I gave them consequences. They completely destroyed the city. When they went back there, I think they ended up losing about 4 characters just trying to get into the city to find this bit of information. My general aspect for dealing with players is just go with the flow. I'm not strict on being a rules lawyer. If someone comes up, especially within D&D, because I've got more experience DMing for Dungeons and Dragons, if someone comes up with an idea, I never like to say no. I like to, okay, you want to do this. Within the rules, we could do it this way if that's what you're looking to do. I don't know if one of my players is in here. In our last campaign, I homebrewed a creature that could literally reach into the ether. So if you misty stepped or dimension doored, this creature would grab you and slam you into the ground. Because they were jumping around, these guys were the monsters learned that, oh, this bad guys learned this is what they're doing, so we're going to stop this. So the bard goes, right, okay then. He grabbed the bag of devouring, opened it up on his chest and strapped it behind his back and like, right, I dimension door. So that the creature would reach out and grab it. And unfortunately with dice rolls, it didn't work. But I thought, yeah, that was just amazing.
What genius idea.
Just thinking outside the box, and who am I to say no to that?
Absolutely. Rule of cool. The rule of cool. It is canon. It is canonically law. You must abide by the rule of cool. 100%. Absolutely. Really interestingly, I think that entire answer could have been summarized, and I feel like I'm just going to... So thank you for the question, Spikia91. Take this as your warning as a player. How do you handle your players making unexpected choices? Plot your revenge. That is the answer. Yes. So bear that in mind next time you take your you take your poor DM for a ride. Mike.
Yes.
The question is to you. How do you? For anyone that doesn't know, Mike is my DM, which I delight in taking some sort of weird revenge by being the difficult player that Mike so often is in my games. So, Mike, how do you handle
I'm a difficult
choices?
DM.
It's true. It's true.
So I'm not only a difficult player. I'm not a difficult player as such as I want to make trouble. Like last week, I asked, "What is the date?" In this, because I wanted to know, had the temple been used recently from a seasonal point of view, which I then did explain, which was nice. But sometimes I'm currently DMing Curse of Strahd, which is very dark and can be very solemn at times. And I enter like plucky comic relief. There's a couple of gate guards that these players have run into now a couple of times, and they are the most flamboyant, over the top gay gate guards that I could ever create. And I try and have fun with the players, and also, yes, I do indeed plot their revenge. For instance, I had the same kind of thing as what Jack had, in a way. The guys went into a place, they dealt with half of the issue, then they left, and they left the 7 vampires and thralls that were in there in boxes. So what happened? They got a lovely bit of encounter a couple of days later. So yeah, it's handy having those hints and tips in order to be able to get your revenge on your players for not following your storyline. It's just great fun.
Yeah.
I love having fun with players, and I love. It's more interesting for me figuring out what you lot are going to come up with, because I can only plan so far. I can only plan as far as the book's going to tell me, but it's not going to tell me what to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about you, Matt?
Yeah, I also am in the privileged position of homebrew. So, similar to Jack, there is a lot more wiggle room when you're homebrewing stuff because you have a lot more that you can just change. I am quite a chaotic player, I will say. And so my mind already works that way. So, yeah, my players surprise me all the time, and I can't go into too much because some of them will probably be watching or catching up. But they have done things like I had set up a whole beautiful political intrigue in this place called Duskville that I'd created. There was an emperor, and he had no heirs, and he was going to be passing on soon. And there was these 2 big people that had their own agendas, and I had this beautiful thing set up. The first time they entered the city, they tried to sneak into the rich district where it was the final gate point before, like, this huge, the Emperor's mansion and stuff like that. And they decided to disguise themselves, tried to sneak in, went very, very poorly with the guards, and yeah, the whole city hates them. They then went into an inn to stay the night. Lots of things happened. I would waste the rest of the stream going fully into it, but lo and behold, they did some things may have angered an evil god. One of the players got murdered in this place, and yeah, I had to sneak them out of find a way to sneak them out of the city before they all got arrested, and you know. But yeah, it's a lot of same rule of cool. Does it sound feasible? Obviously, DM screens, wonderful thing. You're like, okay, is this hard to do? Yeah, cool. There's a number right in front of me that tells me what it could be. But yeah, they will never not surprise you. So I do a similar thing to you, Luke, where I go, they're going to this place. These are the rooms. The guards are moving around depending on what they do. They may find them here, they may find them there, and just, yeah, I try not to overplan because I know they'll ruin my plan the second it starts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
every time.
hmm Yeah, and Captain Shahrazad has written, so bottom line, just include consequences to actions, not to sap the fun, but to encourage finishing what you start. 100% yes.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
as the DM, these sort of consequences of actions can lead you to create some of the most amazing story arcs, like just absolutely incredible. Um, I some of the greatest intrigue and amazing storytelling that we've ever had have come from the consequences of the players making a decision to not go in the room or go to this place instead or do things out of order. I am a huge lover of if you of keeping a track of the situation of the world around the players and letting it organically evolve. I think it brings stories to life. It makes it feel more real, and it makes players be very conscious about the decisions that they make, and it creates role playing opportunities. Do we want to go here? Do we want to go there? These are the reasons why I think we should, or this is why I don't think we should, or we need to get this first. Because the players are aware that the world evolves around them and it's not just waiting for them to do something and then it changes afterwards. No, if you've got two choices, you're at the fork in the road, village A or village B. No matter what happens, you are going to change something. And that change might be a good thing, or it might bite you in the ass later on. And all of you will sit there with fuming faces when you realize you made the wrong decision 3 months ago when you were at that fork in the road. And I love this idea of not sapping the fun with consequences, but encouraging the finishing what you start, or just to encourage players to engage with the world around them. The world is as alive as they are. There is a DM driving that world. Engage with it and see what happens. Let the DM flex that creativity and make the world come to life for you. So yeah, absolutely behind that statement 100%. That's a really lovely way of putting it.
Just a follow-up question for that, for
Ooh.
our group of DMs here, kind of thing. What's been the most magical moment of seeing a player finally realize, wait, I can do whatever I want? Because there's always that switch of, oh, this is a game, I've got a set of rules I can follow, to suddenly realizing, oh, hold on, there's a goblin in that tower. Can I shoot him in such a way that he falls off the tower instead of back into the tower to alert the guards? And that moment of the players realizing, oh, wait, this is a living, breathing world and I can do that. I think for myself, I've had so many, and it's come normally from the people who I set up an encounter. It was like perfectly balanced and everything. The players took one look at it and went, right, I'm going to Misty shit into the middle of it and put a bag of devouring over the woman's head. I'm sorry, wait, what? No. Oh, that was nonsense planning. Thanks. Just rip it up. That's fine. The whole thing. But seeing that they were like, no, we can do that. That's different.
Damn those players. Damn them. Ban them all. The DM's life would be so much easier without the players.
Yeah, there are so many.
Yep.
I think one of my favorites is still the players were tracking this creature that had been sort of pillaging the lands around, and they found this clearing, and they were like, okay, there's some tracks here. And then one of the players was like, oh, let me just look in my bag, and found that they had traditional like bear traps and stuff like that. And they're like, I'm going to place them in this entrance. And I immediately started to go, oh dear, okay. Because, yeah, the encounter that I planned involved things coming from multiple directions, and there was this huge sort of dire bear creature, and there were these hideous, like, ostrich things. And Luke has already mentioned my rolling before. 2 of the 3 ostriches were stuck in bear traps for pretty much the entire fight, and they just steam. It was one of those moments that I'm like, you know what? You can have this. You prepared beautifully. You outplayed me. I'm not gonna throw in a load more monsters. You are gonna have this beautiful moment where these creatures, you've put a trap and they are stuck. And I am gonna keep rolling my nat ones and nothing higher than a 4 in this fight. And yeah, it's that moment where they're like, yeah, I'm gonna trap this. I'm not just gonna stand here, wait, and then run at them. I'm gonna put stuff down. I'm gonna set a trap myself, and it was so good to see that. I was like, yep, I'm rewarding you with. And I still almost killed a character anyway with the bear, so it's not all doom and gloom. Yeah,
It
it's
is
wonderful to see your your players,
parents.
your players just fully get into the world and think as their characters think. It's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. It is it's one of the reasons I enjoy DMing so much, and why I run so many games for people, is just setting the scene and watching your players bring it to life, creating a world and letting them bring life into it, and seeing the joy and the enjoyment that they get from facing these challenges, or maybe not even joy. Sometimes the sad bits are some of the most amazing. I mean, one of the most amazing moments of my DMing career was the first time I had a group of players crying because we had lost a character, and there was so much emotional connection between the players, between all of the player characters, that the players themselves couldn't not be detached from it. And we ended up with people muting themselves because they were crying, because they were so overwhelmed by the emotions of the moment and the storytelling. And I was when the first time that ever happened, I was like, that is why we do this. This is why we play these games. This is why we tell these stories, to have these beautiful moments of emotional connection, to explore humanity in all of its facets, and to really live all of these things together in a world that isn't this one, and to relish and enjoy that moment. And so that for me was one of the really big ones. I'm not gonna lie, Vampire the Masquerade, for those of you who have joined us on Twitch, for the second half of this chat, I'm running a Vampire the Masquerade game at the moment, and Jack is one of my players. And a lot of the players to this Vampire the Masquerade campaign are brand new to VTMB, and it is just beautiful. It is such a different game system to other RPGs. It's such a different world. Bringing them into this sort of thing and being like, you know, when we had characters and they were like, we want to chase after this, we want to chase after a kine, but we don't want to run through the streets because it's dangerous in case we reveal. We will reveal ourselves because we're hungry and we're chasing this mortal. And they were like, okay, well, we want to climb up onto the roofs of the buildings, and we want to roof run and chase after them. And they all kind of look at me, expected it, and I'm like, well, describe it then, because in this game setting, you don't need to dice for that. Give it, people, the characters realizing the power that their characters have was beautiful in that moment. And we have so many moments in that game of people realizing, of the players realizing they can really do anything they want. They're in London. Do what you like. There are consequences to every decision you make, but go ahead and do what you like. When the players realized that, I think the first 2 or 3 game sessions that we had, the first game session obviously opened the story, but sessions 2, 3, and 4 were just the players completely off-piste, exploring and flexing their characters, finding out who they were and what they were capable of. And it was just such a joy to see players experiencing that and going out in the world. On another much more macabre note, because I have a very dark side, this is why I'm doing Nordic horror and all of these sort of things, there is nothing better than the first time a group of players, number one, switch on the motion tracker in Alien. In Alien RPG, there is a motion tracker and there is a game function behind it. I set up in my Roll20 the actual sounds of the clicks from the game, and the moment they realise what it means, the first time they hear it ping that there's movement, seeing players literally having meltdowns because they know the danger that they're in. The first time players encounter a Xeno and it just kills one character in one turn. The realization of horror is when you're playing that kind of game. Obviously, I'm a great proponent in play the right kind of games and play them the way they should be played. When you hear a player saying, "Would it be all right if we move the game like a little earlier because it's taking me like half an hour to recover and calm down and get to like be able to even think about going to bed," you're like, winning. Absolutely winning. Mike, what about you?
To be fair, all the people that I've had playing so far have been seasoned players as such. So I've not really had that kind of like, oh, I can do this kind of moment yet. But I'm kind of looking forward. It was nice as a player to have that moment of experiencing it from that side and being like, oh, I can actually kind of do what I like. And Luke's just going to go, no, if I can't.
I'm not that kind of DM, Alex.
Well, I did figure that this is a calling out the DM kind of night.
Title of the stream.
Exactly. But yeah, I've not had that kind of moment as yet, so I can't really comment.
I don't know. I remember when we started Curse of Strahd, and the moment that we kind of first got into Barovia, I remember when you popped the map up for the first time, and all of the players in our playgroup, I as a DM, I have run Curse of Strahd, so I'm familiar with the game concept. But the other players, the realization of being like, "What, we can go anywhere on this map?" and then the realization of, we're gonna have to go everywhere on this map. And they're like, for anyone who hasn't seen the map, it's this really gothic looking, quite mysterious and creepy map that has like a ruined abbey and a creepy vampire castle and like this ominous windmill in the middle of nowhere and this wizard's like, you just know as a player, you look at it and you're like, we are gonna die. We're all
and
going to die.
You almost have a couple of times.
So many times. But yeah, that's a really good question, actually. And I think these are the reasons why we gathered together to play these games, to really experience these really beautiful moments, like amazing role-play moments that we get. So we're actually coming towards the end of the allotted time that I penciled in for all of the questions and for the Meet the Cast. It's a little bit shorter of a session than when we're playing Vaesen. So I have got another question, and I think this is I have got another question. It's like the perfect question, I think, to ask to sort of bring the stream to start bringing the stream to a close. And the question actually is from Hootie 1993. They say, what are you looking forward to the most with the society? And what have you enjoyed the most so far? So maybe we should do it in the other way around. So what have you enjoyed the most so far, and then what are you looking forward to? Top of the screen, I think it's Mike.
Is I have really enjoyed kind of building Max and getting him off of the ground. I've also really enjoyed building his backstory and stuff. I'm really enjoying getting into it all. I'm very much looking forward to seeing where this goes, story-wise. Like, what has happened to all these kids? Are we going to find bodies? Is it going to take a dark twist, Nordic noir type? Are they all in? They're actually all in like Aunt Helga's freezer around the corner. It's going to be interesting to see how that works, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Yeah. Jack, same question.
Yeah, same kind of thing. I'm interested where it goes. I mean, I've absolutely loved building this character. I don't think I've even sent you his service records yet. It's literally like just a page long of all the battles he's been in, from the India campaign right the way through to the Battle of Waterloo.
Beautiful.
And
I eagerly await all this backstory.
so but I've then loved doing that. And yeah, it's the horror aspect. I love horror as a genre in general. I mean, I'm a fan of Lovecraft. I'm a fan of Call of Cthulhu. Nordic horror just kind of, especially this style, kind of fits in with that very nicely, but from a more Brothers Grimm, as we've said before, aspect, which is amazing. I mean, when we were doing the stream, like one of the notes I put down is the tavern that's there. The kids are there. Kids are there. The kids are being killed. They're being eaten by the people. That's the horror aspect that's here, underlined it. And then when we got talking to the people, no, that's totally not what's going on. But I was like, no, Nordic horror, that's definitely what it's going to be. I've solved it already. Sorry, Luke.
It definitely has that feel. Vaesen really plays into that kind of Brothers Grimm. It's dark. It's gritty. I really like it because it's very traditional horror. Like, we're talking Victoriana horror, where the horror isn't some horrific mutilated creature or some dreadful, really gory. It is an exploration of the darkest parts of each of us, and having to accept and face that they are a part of all of us, and Vaesen feeds into that really well. I mean, Vaesen also has the wonder of mythical creatures being added in that kind of confounds this kind of Victorian horror of, of imagery, and it reminds me very much of, there are so many things that pop to mind when you talk about it, but that the kind of like The Woman in Black, where really nothing horrifying happens in it, but you are absolutely horrified and chilled by the mystery, the spookiness of it, the anticipation of something awful happening that never seems to happen, but then the realization when you come to the end of it that actually it is a really dark and tragic story, and it speaks about the darkest parts of humanity, and these are often manifested into these magical things like a ghostly spirit. I could waffle for some time.
Mhm.
But I did interrupt you, so if you have more to answer the question.
No, you summed it up. Yeah, it is that kind of. I mean, yeah, I'm really interested to see where the mystery's going to go. I'm really interested to see how the society goes and where it leads. Um, I'm interested in meeting the other characters and finding out more about them and finding out about what they bring.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm just excited. Really looking forward to everything else that happens.
Matt, same question, fired in your
Yeah.
direction.
Oh, I think, yeah, the thing that excited me the most at the beginning was been the whole journey. So like you first asking, and then the Discord started, and then it was like, oh, by the way, it's not just the traditional. There is this set cast of maybe 3 or 4 people. There's actually going to be a rotating cast, and you're going to play with different people in different like little stories, and they're all pieced together, and you're all kind of working towards this same goal. And then, yeah, one of the highlights for me was obviously, I've said it a couple of sort of brought it up a couple of times, is when the art appeared, it just became so real, and it was so like wonderful being like, here's the vision I have of my character, and then you get this thing back and you look at it and you go, this is them. All this stuff I have written, all this stuff I have created, they have a face now, and it was such a wonderful, like beautiful moment to be like, there is a face to my character now. And it is, yeah, that was, but yeah, what I'm looking forward to is just all of it, especially as Vaesen has its sort of dark secret system. And my God, I want to know everyone's dark secret and what makes each character tick, and just, yeah, learning about all these different characters that people have created. It's just, and the creatures that you have also beautiful things you do.
I'm looking forward as well to exploring Vaesen and the lore behind the society as such. Because we only know tiny bits as players. Like we don't know the whole history of the society. So it's going to be interesting also finding that out.
I mean, there is so much for you guys to find out.
Can't wait. Cannot wait.
I guess I can answer this question as well. What have I enjoyed so far? Well, question, what haven't I enjoyed so far, really? I have loved every minute of this project. I was very tentative about doing this full stop. I got this, and I kind of started feeling like I would. I started getting the feeling that I would like to live stream or Twitch stream an RPG game. I really enjoy telling stories, and I've had a few people be like, it would be great. We could share them, we could record them and share them. And I thought, let's do a live stream. Then it became the challenge of thinking, what one would I do? And if I'm going to be honest with you, I very nearly settled with Alien RPG, and I was like, that is the one that I am going to stream. And then Vaesen came along, and I was like, no, I changed my mind. That is the one that I'm going to stream. We've got some really interesting things built into the society. So Matt brought up one of them. We actually have a pool of cast members. The idea behind it being that as time goes on, more and more people will join in the society, and whatever it is this mysterious society are doing, we will get more and more members joining this secret society. And as more and more members join, they will be sent out on missions or on investigations or cases to go and find out what is happening. This means that players aren't. It's never going to be all. It won't always be the same group of players. At the moment, we have 3 of our players currently doing a mystery in Espedalen in Norway, investigating what sounds like it could be the gates to hell. Now, those 3 characters, when we do the next mystery, we might get one of those members goes along on that mystery as well, but 2 new members, 3 new members might join them, and therefore it will be a completely different cast. This is a really exciting way of exploring how politics and how character feeling towards one another can change and alter the role play and the storytelling, and it will change the dynamic. If you get 3 people who are bookworms and like to investigate things, one for one mystery, and then in the next mystery you get our officer, our ranger, and our private detective, we're talking a very different style of play and a very different approach to the mystery. So not only are we going to have very different mysteries, but we're going to have this variety of gameplay and variety of character interaction. And I'm really excited to see how this grows and develops, because one of the things that is going to run through the whole of the society is the overarching storyline of the society itself and what on earth is going on with this secret group. So there is going to be a linking tale between each of the mysteries that is going to slowly unfold the bigger story that is happening in the background. But each of these stories are going to be an experience unto themselves. One of the things that I'm really looking forward to is that I don't know where this is going. I have written the overarching storyline not as an arc, but as a tree of possibilities. I have no idea how this story is going to evolve, and every decision made by the characters in every mystery is going to directly impact how the story will unfold. So I also don't know. I know the 100 possible paths and what might be at the end of each of them, but which one of those endings is going to be the one and how we're going to get there, I have no idea, and I'm so excited to find out how the players bring this to life. And there you go. Those are all of our questions for the evening. I'm going to throw it open, almost like a conference. I'm clearly, I know how to present at a conference. I'm going to, this is where I'd click the PowerPoint slide and you'd get that really awkward clip art of the man carrying the red question mark, which everyone knows. If you're of my generation, you know the red question mark. So I'm going to throw it out there. If there are any more questions lurking in chat, now is the time, or forever hold your peace, or at least wait until we have another one of these fabulous Meet the Cast where there might be a different array of victims, players. And if not, then this is where we will draw our stream to a close. I will say... straight in there, I see you, Oren Ace. You never know. You never know.
Yeah, you may end up with Luke DMing you one day.
You never know. The design, the way that this project has been designed is so that it can be a living, breathing organism with people joining and leaving as they need, and as story tells, basically. So you never know. Keep your eyes and your ears open. That you never know what the future brings. am going to say a massive thank you to our cast members. We have. Why don't you do your little, tell us who you are, again. So we'll start right at the top. Go on, Mike.
So I am Michael. I play Maximilian Fjellbach. I am the paranormal investigator here on Vaesen. I also stream on Twitch and Mikey B456, and you can catch me on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Thank you for the shout out, Dan. Also, check out Dan, fabulous mod, Divin Inc.
Yep.
If you're not following Divin Inc., please do. Like, they are a fabulous person, and we love them very, 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 very much.
Yes, absolutely, we do. Jack, take it away.
Well, I've been Jack. I'm playing currently Lieutenant Colonel Bartholomew Seaton in the current episode that we're doing. This is the only place that I'm streaming. It's the only thing that I do.
It's the only place to stream, obviously.
Yeah, big shout out to Mikey Divin Inc. as well for their streams of Sea of Thieves, and also to Oren, which I can see in stream. He's a dear friend of mine. Check him out as well. He's a fantastic Sea of Thieves player. Get my words right.
And Matt, take it away.
Yeah, I am Matt. I am Quentin Ludensberg, the private detective who will detect all of it, I'm sure, and never miss any clues whatsoever, any beautifully obvious clues in front of me, because it's going to happen. People are going to be mad. Mainly me after the episode when I'm like, what the hell was that?
I've got all the clues and I have no idea what's happening, and I'm the detective.
I think there's been some kind of crime here. There is a body right next to you. Clearly.
And then you come up with a Poirot kind of ending.
Yep. But yeah, I hope to at least bring comic relief. But yeah, huge shout out to everyone that came along. Huge shout out to everyone that was on the Q&A as well, and especially to Luke for bringing this all together, because
absolutely,
100% wonderful project to be on.
Right, well, I'm going to say
all the messages,
all the love, all the messages. I'm going to say a huge thank you to the cast. I'm actually going to flick over to our credit roll. So I'm going to say a big goodbye to the cast. Thank you very much for being with us this evening. Okay,
I've
let
also
those.
Sent you a person to raid.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Let the credits roll. So we have a little credit roll going on right now. It's happening over there. I have to like half look at myself in the screen, half look at you guys. This reversed camera thing is doing my bouncing. We have the camera roll running, so we've got a huge thank you that we want to say to a few people. Now, this is our credit roll that runs to credit everyone who helps us on our stream. So for anyone who joined us this evening, you joined us on a little bit of a strange evening. Normally, you can catch us here playing Vaesen, which is a tabletop role-playing game. We use Roll20 as our VTT, and we tell Nordic horror stories of mystery and intrigue as our players uncover crimes, as they uncover the supernatural, and as they explore the ongoing story of the society. We haven't used all of the amazing tools and artwork and things that we normally use, but I'm going to say thank you anyway. So the biggest thank you goes to Shusha, whose name is just scrolling past right now. If we can fling the link to her Instagram in the chat for me, that would be great. She is our character artist, and I cannot even tell you how talented an artist that she is. Head over to her Instagram, have a look. She has done character art for every single one of our characters and is still generating character art for some of our characters that will appear later on as our stream progresses. We've got Roll20, who are our VTT, and Dungeon Fog, who we use to generate our maps. We use audio in our normal stream that comes from Tabletop Audio and Incompetech, and that comes through the Roll20 jukebox. There is already a post knocking around in the chat with all the links that are rolling through, so please do go and check out all of these amazing artists and all of these amazing assets. If you are catching up on YouTube, then all of the details are in the description below. If you joined us in the raid and you are really interested in knowing more about the society and seeing us actually play the roleplay game rather than just chat nonsense all evening, please head over to our YouTube or onto our Twitch, where you can watch the previous episode and catch yourself up. Next week we will be picking up where the story left off and continuing our investigation into the mystery of the children's disappearance in the village of Esfidalen. I really hope that you have had a lovely time this evening, and I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day, night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for joining us, and I really hope that we get to see you soon in our as we continue the society. Join us next week when we pick up where we left off. Thank you very much.